Great evening, Facebook. I'm back again. Had a little power outage here. I was shooting a video earlier, had a little power outage, so I had to delete that one. Didn't get a chance to complete it. But as you can see, the title of this video basically is just giving a quick review on the President's address to Congress last night. Here in Rochester, New York today, we had a fantastic day. First of all, let me say, beautiful weather, 60, close to 70 degrees. The breeze was excellent. What a beautiful day to have in March. We've been really blessed here. So with that being said, God is good, cannot complain. Now, real quick, not going to take up too much time. Going to give a quick review of what I thought about his speech last night. It was pretty Trump-esque. He said a lot of the same things he said on the campaign trail. Nothing new. What was different, though, was he acted presidential, which is something he hasn't been doing over the last 30 days. He's been... how should I put it? He's been a man baby, basically. Crying about the press, fighting with the FBI, fighting with the CIA, fighting with the judicial system, fighting with the very people that he needs to work with in order for him to really get anything effectively done to claim his presidency as successful or unsuccessful. So he gave a good speech last night. And that good speech came from him conducting himself in the way in which he should have conducted himself. Period. So let me see here. When I really listen to him talk, I guess I got to tell the truth. Yeah, I do. It's President Trump is, he's a great salesman. I can see why he's been successful in business. He's what I would call a Huxtable. Now, Huxtable is a word that have three different meanings. So I'm going to make sure that I clarify to you which one I'm talking about when I talk about Huxtable. The first meaning is an individual who sells stuff from door to door. Little trinkets, vacuum cleaners, stuff like that. That's a Huxtable, door-to-door salesman. The second meaning is an individual who sells stuff very showy, like a snake oil salesman. He adds a lot of flamboyancy to what he's selling. The product that he's selling may not be able to do what he claims it does. You may not even want it. That's not his job. His job is to be aggressive and get you to buy it. Bottom line. The third definition of Huxtable is an individual who sells you a product or an idea with the intent of totally deceiving you. Period. Now, when I look... When I look at President Trump, this is the guy that I'm seeing. And I'm going to start off real simple. And this is why I'm just going to say this. First of all, there is no way. He talked about last night repealing and replacing Obamacare. There is no way that's going to happen. He's dreaming. President Trump is dreaming. There is no way he's going to repeal and replace Obamacare. First of all, let's be for real. You need 60 votes to repeal and replace Obamacare. President Obama only has, 52 senators? He only has 52 senators. So there's no way that he's going to be able to repeal and replace Obamacare. That's not going to happen, number one. Okay? That's something that he's telling you guys. Either he's lying or he doesn't know he's lying because he don't know any better. So that's a farce. Number two, he talks about building this Great Wall of China across the southern border of our nation. And he talks about this vast infrastructure program. And he talks about tax cuts. There's no way that's going to happen. Okay? Period. There's no way that you can have massive tax cuts, or there's no way that you can have massive spending programs without increasing taxes to pay for them. You can't have massive tax cuts on one end and vast spending programs on another one. You're talking about ballooning the deficit out of control. This is what George Bush did. He did massive tax cuts. First of all, this man came into the White House, president. He had a $256 million surplus, and surpluses as far as the eye could see. He squandered that, and then he turned around and he gave out, he took us to war in Iraq and Afghanistan without raising taxes, and then he had massive tax cuts. Next thing you know, we're $10 trillion in debt. Period. We're $10 trillion in debt because of this. Before his presidency was even over with, we were 10 trillion and counting. There's no way you could have massive spending programs on one hand and massive tax cuts. Anytime you have massive spending programs, you have to cut back, you got to have tax, you got to raise taxes, all that to pay for it. This is another thing he was talking about, which is just false. Something that the man simply cannot do. Straight up. Third, what's the other one here he's talking about doing? I think I racked them all up. Yes, I did. It was the healthcare. It was healthcare. It was building the wall, and it was his tax cuts. And then he's talking about spending, giving the military an additional $54 billion. I mean, you can't do massive tax cuts and big spending programs at the same time. That right there alone, I'm gonna tell you, that is a policy for your presidency to be a complete failure, because what you're gonna do is bankrupt the nation. It's that simple. It's not rocket science. This is why I tell you individuals to grab a book, the basic of book, and read how Congress works. Because you'll be able to tell immediately that most of these people is lying to you. See, the difference between Donald Trump and the politicians is that when Donald Trump talks about repealing and replacing Obamacare, the politicians, okay, let me turn my food down in here because I'm cooking a little dinner, making some homemade lasagna, and I definitely don't want my dinner burning up, making a little salad here to go with it. But the thing is this. You have politicians like Paul Ryan, and you listen to these politicians, Paul Ryan, Marco Rubio, they're using different wording when they're talking about health care. They're saying, we won't settle for anything less than repeal and replace. They're not saying they can do it. Why? Because they know they only got 52 senators in Congress, and they need 60 to repeal and replace Obamacare. They need it, which means they need 8 Democrats. Now, after looking at that presentation last night, do you really think they're going to get 8 Democrats? No, they're not going to get them. Period. They're not going to get 8 Democrats. And let me say something to the Trump supporters out here, let me really, let me let y'all really know how politics works. Going back to the statement I made earlier about political correctness. When they stand up and they applaud for Trump, they're being politically correct. Political correctness has nothing to do with being able to say the term radical Islamic terrorism. Political correctness is exactly what it says. How to act correct in the aspect of politics. Simple. So for them to stand up and applaud for Trump is nothing. That happens all the time. If you are an individual who pays attention to these presidential presentations in front of Congress, whether they're Democrat or Republican, the Democrats, if their man's in, they applaud. Republicans sit down. If it's the Republicans' man in, they stand up and applaud. The Democrats sit down. And that's so old it doesn't make any sense. That's been happening. But what they do know right now with this president is that the world is watching. And they have to let the world know that yes, there is a functioning government working right now while we have this loose pistol of a president in our office. Okay? So they're going to get up and they're going to give the appearance because they know that the world is watching us. Period. They're being politically correct. Now, trust me, a bunch of those Republicans who are standing up and applauding that man does not approve of his ideas, his policies. They don't even like him. They can't wait till he falls. You think Marco Rubio forgot those little Marco comments? Think Ted Cruz forgot? See, what Donald Trump don't understand is that in the world of politics, they get revenge different than they do in the business world. You guys like to go straight at a person like a wolf. Huh. Now politicians, they're like raptors. They will signal each other, talk, whisper, watch you, get you into the proper kill box, take you down. And if their intention is to take you down, will you understand who's the boss? Then that's their intention. If their intention is to take you down, will you never get up? You'll never get back up. See, what Donald Trump hasn't realized yet in his first 30 days, stomping his feet, really making a lot of noise, ruckus, really making himself look like the commander-in-chief, the big boss, is that the real work of this government has always been done in Congress. It's always been Capitol Hill, where the action goes down. That's where the real fights take place. That's where the legislation goes through. That's where everything, as far as anything that is significance dating back to the beginning of our nation, happens. Period. That's where it all happens. Not in the White House. Congress is where we get to challenge the boss's ideas. It's where the boss can get kicked below. Seriously. So they can't wait. And this has yet to happen for Donald Trump. In any areas in which they could show him this, they've showed him. In his Muslim ban, the courts jumped in, stopped him. Smacked him down. When he goes to Congress, they're going to smack Donald Trump down. I want y'all to do me a favor. And I want y'all to go back and look at that presidential presentation at Congress. And I want you to look at Paul Ryan, who's sitting behind the president, smiling. And look at his smile very closely. His smile says, "We got something for you, Mr. Trump." His smile is saying, "I got colleagues who are firing up the grill, and I made a special sauce just for you." When he gets into Congress with these legislative ideas that he thinks he's going to pass, he's going to find out that he is not the only player in town, and that the only way to make it through Congress as a senator, congressman, or House of Representatives, basically, or president, is compromise, compromise, compromise. You don't run nothing. He's going to find that out. And they're going to give him a good lesson. Now, I'm going to make 4 predictions real quick about Trump. Well, 3, 4, let me see. Like I said, 1, he's not going to repeal and replace Obamacare. I'm going to tell you that. That's not happening. Believe you me, Joe said it. Remember that when it does not happen. That I said it March 1st, 2017. That is dead. He's dreaming. They're going to come up with some patch plan bullcrap. Number 2, he's not getting his tax cut plan passed. The only way he's going to get it passed, unless there's minimal taxes and that they're for the rich. Since he's put all those Goldman Sachs people in his administration. So they're going to be for the rich. They're not going to help us at all. Massive tax cuts, dead. His Great Wall of China program that he's talking about building on the southern border, dead. It's not going to happen, period. So, and last but not least, this whole fight he's had with the media. I really think Trump's fighting with these people because he knows that there's a matter of time for some real discrediting news comes out about him. And he needs to discredit the news media now before the news comes out. So that way, when people hear it, he will already have beat the drum so much that they're fake news that he could just say fake news. They're doing it again. When that is not actually the truth. I mean, it's a smart plan. It's not smart enough to pull the wool over Joe Lewis's eyes, but it's a smart plan. I mean, say for instance, you're joining a group of people, and there's one guy in that group that everybody listens to, and it's important to you to be in this group, and you know that there's information coming down the pipe months from now, maybe a year from now, on you that may have you kicked out that group. But you want to be in this group bad. So what do? You get accepted in the group, you befriend the leader of the group that everybody listens to, and you start subtly planning innuendos, just things that make the closest members to this guy question him. You don't have to make up any stories that are going to be mushroom clouds where there's big arguments and falling outs. All you have to do is just plant just enough information where they never confront him, but they question him. Then when the news come down about you and he have that meeting with them and say, you know what, I found out something about Joe. The guy ain't who he says he's supposed to be. I could immediately come out and say, remember that incident me and you had to talk about? We didn't say nothing about that to him, did we? I'll say, we didn't say nothing. Not I or you, but we. See what I'm saying? So I honestly believe that there is something coming down devastating about him. And he needs to discredit the media now. But with that being said, I looked at his speech. If I was to grade it, I'd give him a C. It really wasn't, I've seen better out of men that have known how to carry themselves as presidents every day all the way up to that speech. So, but that's my prediction, about this man's presidency. No repeal and repair, no tax cuts, no big Great Wall of China, and new scandal. Those are my predictions. 4 predictions made by Joe Lewis, March 17th. Remember, you heard it from Uncle Joe. And when it comes true, all y'all will know. Y'all have a good night, man. And stay your fellow Americans keeper. Peace. And I love y'all very much.